The Vidians laughed at Earth's pathetic armies and weapons. Then humanity joined the Galactic War and burned the Vidians' cities, crippled their fleets, and dug up their ancestors' graves. Let me tell you how Earth became a superpower overnight. My name's Kyle Turner. When the Vidians landed on the White House lawn, I stood a few feet from Ambassador Tharos, the bastard who would subjugate our planet. His translucent skin and 4 beady eyes studied us, barbarians, finding us wanting. World leaders trembled as Tharos gestured at his gleaming mile-wide mothership, our puny fighter jets circling it like gnats. "Surrender your resources and serve the civilized races," he commanded. His long finger pressed a button. Whoosh! The mothership's underside cannon flashed. A beam of crackling plasma shot down, vaporizing a chunk of the Amazon and gouging a smoldering chasm in the Earth visible from orbit. Point made. Screams broke the heavy silence. Tharos laughed as guards aimed plasma rifles at our leaders. If we did not submit, the mothership would carve up more of our world. Without our resources, billions would starve or freeze, but such primitive brutes had no place in their galactic community. Be slaves or be glassed to ash. I gritted my teeth. We needed a way to beat the Vidians at their own game, to shove their arrogance up their tentacled asses. But how could we defeat a species centuries ahead of us in technology? As humanity descended into global panic, I swore to find a way, or die avenging Earth. The Vidians wasted no time after their ultimatum. Before the ashes of the Amazon stopped smoldering, they landed troops in every major city. Legions of soldiers marched through streets, rounding up anyone who resisted. A few national armies put up a futile fight, but their conventional weapons barely scratched the Vidians' energy shields. The aliens' plasma cannons melted tanks into glowing slag. In mere days, the Vidians crushed all opposition. They graciously allowed our former world leaders to retain their titles as figureheads of a puppet Earth government. But the true power was held by Vidian overseers. They controlled our media, schools, industries, our entire way of life. Most humans had no choice but to toil in labor camps, harvesting resources for our new masters. However, I refused to submit. Along with other resistance fighters, I fled into the wilderness, hiding in remote safe houses. For months we gathered weapons, supplies, intel, anything to strike back. Our big break came when we infiltrated a Vidian military outpost. My buddy Zach, a former Special Forces operative, led us in a stealth raid. We took down the guards, hacked their security, and looted enough plasma rifles and power armor for a whole platoon. Even sweeter was the data we swiped from their servers. Schematics, star maps, galactic history files. It was an intel goldmine. As our tech specialists pored over the files, translating the alien script, a bigger picture emerged, and it pissed me off even more. Earth wasn't some unique target. We were just the primitive newbies in a vast galactic community that barely knew we existed. The Vidians were part of some galactic council that oversaw this section of the Milky Way, but it was less a benevolent federation and more an exclusive country club for pompous pricks. Hundreds of alien species were part of this council, but only a handful had any real power. The Vidians, along with races like the insectoid Zorgons and the gaseous Nebulites, were the biggest deal. They called the shots, made the rules, and screwed over lesser species however they liked. Turned out, the Council had been watching Earth for centuries. They just never bothered to make contact, since we were so behind technologically. When the Vidians finally invaded, it wasn't some glorious conquest in their eyes, more like a hobby to pass the time. The Council races even took bets on how long we'd last. The other Council members could have stepped in, could have stopped the invasion, sanctioned the Vidians, offered us protection. But why bother? To them, we were just some primitive wildlife, the galactic equivalent of a duck or a deer. Who cares if we went extinct? As I listened to the intercepted Council transmissions, my knuckles went white from clenching my rifle. The casual arrogance, the utter dismissal of human lives, I wanted to scream, put a plasma bolt through the screen. But I swallowed my rage, because now I knew our target. Boys, I think it's time we took our fight to a bigger stage, I said, pointing to a star map. See this? That's the Council HQ, the shining seat of galactic power, where the head honchos sip space cocktails and decide the fate of lesser species. Zack frowned. Kyle, that's on the other side of the galaxy. And even if we got there, we'd be facing thousands of their ships. It's suicide. I grinned. Not if we play it smart. Their own files showed a major weakness, the Karak. I tapped the image of a warship bristling with jagged spines. These dudes are the Council's biggest rival. They've been at war for decades. The Vidians are stretched thin, fighting on the front lines. Oh, you want to run to these Karak? Zack scoffed. No, I want to jack a Vidian ship, fly right into Council space, pretending to be envoys or something. Then, when we're in the heart of their HQ, we demand a meeting with the head honchos. We show them the Vidians' own files, recordings of their atrocities, prove how badass and valuable humans can be. I looked each resistance fighter in the eye, and then we tell them, let us prove our worth against the Karak. If we can help turn the tide of their war, they give Earth its freedom. Mutters of disbelief echoed in the room. It sounded insane, but I saw flickers of hope in their eyes. It's a batshit crazy plan, Kyle, Zack said. Then he smiled grimly. So let's do it. Let's show these space pricks what humans are made of. So we stole ourselves a sleek Vidian corvette, took out the crew, hacked the controls, even got ourselves some spiffy alien uniforms. Zack flew us right into the heart of Council space like we owned the place. As we cruised into the shimmering nebula that hid the Council HQ, a swarm of security ships suddenly surrounded us, weapons hot. A voice barked over comms, "Unknown vessel, stand down or be destroyed." We powered down, hands up as armored troops boarded us, led by a hulking insectoid in a general's uniform. His compound eyes glittered as he hissed, "I am General Zixtar of the Zorgon Imperial Guard. You will explain yourselves to the Council." They hauled us in energy cuffs before the full assembly, dozens of weird aliens perched in hovering seats around a grand chamber. Zixtar shoved me forward and I stumbled, then stood tall. "I am Kyle Turner of Earth. We're here to demand justice for what the Vidians did to our world." The chamber erupted in a buzz of clicks, chirps, and chuckles. A glowing jellyfish-like counselor burbled, "The primitives speak. How quaint." My face burned, but I pressed on. "The Vidians enslaved us, killed millions. You sat back and let it happen. Is that what the Council stands for? Don't we deserve a chance to prove our worth?" "Preposterous," Zixtar snarled. "These savages have no place here. Let the Vidians have their little project." As the Council devolved into bickering, one ancient voice rose above the din. "The Earthling is right." All eyes turned to a wizened figure of swirling gas. Kazrik, the Nebulite ambassador. The Council's inaction was shameful. If these humans have the courage to fly into the jaws of doom for their species, the least we can do is give them a chance to show their mettle. I held my breath as the Council argued. Finally, the head counselor raised a tentacle for silence. "Very well. Human, you will have your chance. The 15th Fleet is currently engaging Karak forces in the Zintar system. Join the battle. If you can turn the tide, Earth will have earned its freedom and a council seat." My heart soared, then sank as he added gravely, "But if you fail, Earth will be chattel divided among us. Your species will be forever enslaved." I swallowed hard. "We won't fail." The counselor waved a dismissive tendril. "Ready your forces, the battle awaits." As we marched out to prep for the fight of our lives, Zack muttered, "Kyle, you're betting the whole damn planet on this, on us." I clapped his shoulder. "I know, but it's the only shot we've got. We can't go back now." I thought of my family toiling away in the labor camps, of all the brave soldiers who'd already died fighting the Vidians. Their faces steeled my resolve. We linked up with a ragtag band of human volunteers who'd escaped in shuttles during the chaos of the invasion. Engineers, pilots, medics, even a few former special forces. They looked at me with a mix of hope and grim determination. "I won't lie to you," I said. "This is a long shot. We're up against the most ruthless empire in the galaxy, but damn it, we're the human race. We don't just roll over, we don't just give up. I raised my fist. Who's with me? Who's ready to show the galaxy what humanity is really made of? A chorus of cheers and oorahs echoed from the small sea of faces. Zack grinned. You always were good at speeches. I hefted a plasma rifle and slapped in a fresh charge. Let's go make it more than just words then. Let's go save our world. The Galactic Horizon, our little rust bucket of a ship, shook like a leaf in a hurricane as we dropped out of hyperspace. Around us, the sleek warships of the Council fleet spread out in formation, an armada of gleaming metal ready to face the Karak head-on. I gripped the back of the pilot's chair, my knuckles going white. Jace, you sure this bucket of bolts can handle a firefight? Jace flashed me a cocky grin, his hands dancing over the controls. Kyle, I could fly this baby through an asteroid field blindfolded. We'll be fine. Cut the chatter, crackled the voice of Admiral Zahn, the Nebulite commander of the fleet. All ships assume attack positions. Fighters, launch on my mark. The Galactic Horizon shuddered as Jace gunned the engines, falling into formation beside a squadron of Zorgon fighters. Ahead, the inky void of space lit up as the Karak warships opened fire, lances of searing light stabbing out at our fleet. Evasive maneuvers, Zahn barked. Our ship jinked and juked, narrowly dodging the deadly beams. A Zorgon fighter to our left wasn't so lucky. It vanished in a blinding fireball as a Karak shot punched through its shields. Damn it, they've got us outgunned, I growled, scanning the tactical display. The Karak ships were bigger, faster, their weapons cutting through our fleet like a plasma torch through butter. Jace's fingers flew over the controls, weaving us through the chaos of the battle. Kyle, I'm picking up some weird energy readings from the Karak flagship. Something big is powering up. Patch it through to Zahn, I ordered, a cold dread settling in my gut. The Admiral's hologram flickered to life on our comm screen, his gaseous form roiling with agitation. Turner, what have you got? Sir, the Karak flagship is charging some kind of superweapon, I reported. Energy readings are off the charts. Zahn's image blurred, his voice distorting with static. All ships, concentrate fire on that flagship. We have to take it out before... The transmission cut off in a burst of static. On the view screen, a blinding lance of energy erupted from the Karak flagship, searing across space and spearing one of our battleships. The mighty vessel simply vanished, vaporized in an instant. Holy shit, Jace breathed, his face pale. I watched in horror as the superweapon fired again and again, each shot obliterating another of our ships. In mere moments, half our fleet was gone, reduced to glowing embers drifting in the void. We're getting slaughtered, Jace said hoarsely. What do we do? I stared at the tactical display, my mind racing. The flagship was heavily shielded, its armor nigh impenetrable. But there was one weakness, one desperate chance. Jace, plot a course straight for the flagship's main gunport, I said grimly. Kyle, are you insane? We'll be vaporized before we get within 1,000 clicks. Not if we time it right. I gripped his shoulder. Charge up the hyperdrive, but don't engage. Shunt all power to engines and forward shields. Understanding dawned in Jace's eyes. He nodded, fingers flying over the controls. You always were a crazy bastard, Kyle. The Galactic Horizon leapt forward, engines screaming as we hurtled towards the Karak flagship. Around us, the remnants of our fleet fought desperately, drawing the enemy's fire. The flagship loomed before us, its main gun charging up for another shot. The muzzle glowed with hellish light, a miniature sun ready to erase us from existence. Now, I roared. Jace slammed the eject, blowing the fuel cells a split second before the cannon fired. A massive explosion ripped through space, the shockwave slamming into our ship like the fist of an angry god. Alarms shrieked, sparks flying from overloaded consoles. But through the inferno, I saw the Karak flagship shudder, its superweapon exploding in a cataclysmic blast that sheared off the entire front half of the ship. Secondary explosions rippled down its length, tearing it apart from the inside. A ragged cheer went up over the comm as the Karak flagship broke apart, spilling debris and bodies into the void. The remaining enemy ships faltered, their formation breaking. "All ships, press the attack!" Admiral Zahn's voice crackled over the comm, exultant. "The Karak are in disarray. Drive them back." Our battered fleet surged forward, plasma cannons and missiles hammering the Karak ships. One by one the enemy vessels fell, torn apart or limping away in retreat. In the end, only a handful of our ships remained, scorched and dented, leaking atmosphere from a dozen hull breaches. But we had won. The Karak were in full retreat, their flagship nothing more than a spinning wreck. As we limped back to the Council HQ, I couldn't help but feel a swell of pride. We'd done it. A ragtag bunch of humans, fighting alongside aliens we once thought would enslave us. Together, we had turned the tide. But even as the Council grudgingly granted us our freedom, even as I took my seat as humanity's representative, I knew our fight was far from over. There would be more battles ahead, more challenges to overcome. We had won the day, but the war for our place in the galaxy was just beginning, and I knew deep in my bones that humanity would never stop fighting for it. The Vidians, the Council, the Karak, they had no idea what they had started. They had no idea the fire they had lit in the human spirit. Let them come. Let them try to shackle us again. We would meet them head-on, united and unbroken. For we are the human race, and we will not go quietly into the night. But our triumph, hard-won and soaked in blood, proved fleeting. The Vidians, their pride wounded and egos bruised, could not abide the humiliation of defeat at the hands of mere primates. As I took my place on the Council, Earth's voice and champion, I saw their schemes take root. Tharos, that snake, whispered poison in the ears of the Zorgons, the Nebulites, promised wealth, power, vengeance. The once united Council fractured, consumed by greed and ancient grudges. My allies dwindled, words falling on deaf ears as the Vidians pulled strings from the shadows. I fought, oh how I fought to hold our fragile alliances together. But for every lie exposed, two more took its place. The Council chambers became a battlefield, my weapons, words and truth, wielded against a tidal wave of deceit. Until the day Earth burned. I remember every detail. The way the air shimmered as Tharos activated the stolen Karak doomsday device. The way his eyes gleamed with triumph as the Council watched, silent and complicit. The way my heart shattered as the cities I once called home vanished in pillars of fire. Billions dead, a world in ashes, and I helpless to stop it. I confronted Tharos before the Council, demanded justice, retribution. I thought I could shame them, appeal to some scrap of honor or decency. But as the Vidians' mocking laughter echoed off the chamber walls, I saw the truth. There was no justice here, only the strong devouring the weak. They stripped us of our council seat, humanity's voice forever silenced. Then a final twist of the knife, exile. The last remnants of my species, damned to a slow death on some distant, barren rock, a warning to all who would defy the council's power. So here I sit, a king of dust and bones, recounting our fall. The galaxy is a cold and merciless place, where the light of hope gutters and fades. We dared to stand tall, to challenge our would-be masters, and we paid the price. Let our story be a warning, a testament, to the depths of cruelty that lurk in the hearts of the powerful, and to the unbreakable spirit of a species that refused to kneel, even as the stars themselves turned against us. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.